Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the program. In today's episode of I saw you YouTube want to upgrade my brakes, so I'm bringing you VBA rotors, pads and steel brake lines. We have this new Ford Ranger. Customer is towing this Jayco caravan now. So he's supplying everything. He wants me to install it all. Like I said, we're going to be doing the pads, rotors, steel brake lines or braided brake lines, and doing a fluid flush and upgrading it. What's good about these new dual cabs are they are disc at the back, so we don't have to muck around adjusting drums and all the rest of this kind of stuff. So should be pretty straightforward, but this is how I'm going to do it. All right, so these are the parts the customer has supplied. He's got the 5000 series brake pads, 4000 series brake rotors. These are pretty much the best you're going to get, especially for his application. High carbon steel, heat treated, all this kind of jazz. And he's got this brake line kit which comes with everything, so we can do the job with not mucking about. As you can see, this is the setup we've got at the moment. Nothing's got to change too much other than the parts we're throwing on. But what we're going to do first is the brake line, because we don't want to do that at the end where brake fluid's going everywhere, and we're going to get it over our new parts. So essentially, it's a 10mm bolt here. Take out these ABS lines, and then you can disconnect everything else. There's a clip holding this brake line on, so you're going to remove that. You can take this on before or after, whatever you feel like. It's a 13mm. And this will let a decent amount of brake fluid out, so have your parts ready to go. If you can, chuck a rag behind that line because it will spill some brake fluid. There's nothing really you can do to avoid this, as it's all hard lines from this point. Make sure to do all this stuff by hand, a few turns at least, because you do not want to cross thread anything, especially this top one. In this kit they give you a new spring to hold this in place. Now you can tighten this caliper down. Remember, this caliper is an alloy, so do not just strip it out. So it's kind of flattened out a good amount there, so a quarter more. And then leave it. If it leaks, tighten it up, but it shouldn't leak. And spray everything down with brake cleaner. Make sure that the customer, he's a YouTube subscriber, and he's hanging out with me while I'm doing the job. So just got to tell him, hey look, although I'm cleaning it with brake cleaner, you got to just spray it down with, like a soapy high pressure hose at the car wash or something, just so you don't have any issues with paint corrosion, although we really didn't spill that much. Alright, so with that done now, there's two bolts holding this on. Just to be clear, the customer wanted this upgrade. These pads had plenty of meat on them type thing, so don't worry about that. Alright, so from there, take this off. Beautiful. Now, like I said, these pads, plenty of meat. It's done 70,000 Ks, so he's doing all right. And these are the originals. On the other side, there was a bit of pitting on the back of the rotor, and you can see here it's getting a bit hot, but nothing crazy. Still fine, but just something to note. Now we got to remove the caliper mounting bracket. These are red Loctite in, so they're a bitch to get out. So if you don't have a huge breaker bar, you're going to need a rattle gun. Hang the caliper up. I'm just putting it out of the way while I work. That's the Loctite. But now it's off. Same kind of deal, not too bad. Definitely, nothing to really worry about type thing. but it's only going to get worse, so especially towing, so we're going to change this. All right, now before we continue, we'll quickly compress these pistons back into the brake caliper. There are many ways you can do that. This is the way I'm going to do it. This is my personal brand tool, Southside Mobile Brake Services. Simple as this. Just compress them in like so. Job done. I sell these. If you go to the link down below and you want to buy one, hit it. If it doesn't work and the same out of stock, send me an email and I'll look after you. From there, give this a clean. Put some brake cleaner. Wipe it down. Now it's ready for reassembly. So we got this brake caliper mounting bracket. Dusty, dirty, needs to be cleaned, and these need to be re-greased. Take a wire brush and go over it till it's clean. Don't forget to remove the actual guide clips, whatever you want to call them, and clean under here too, because shit gets built up under there. And again, the smoother everything moves, the better it performs. Now it's nice and clean. Now you got to take these out. These were moving freely, that's fine, but obviously we're not going to be touching these for quite a while, so make sure to re-grease them. Speaking of that, I use this Bendix grease. Seems to work really well. Don't be shy. Decent film, but not too much where it's going to prevent the actual movement. And then obviously when you do that, make sure it moves freely. Clean this up. The face of the hub, this just prevents any issues with high spots, running out the rotors, giving you vibrations, this kind of stuff. Relative to most four-wheel drives, but you still definitely want to go about doing it. Done that, hit it with some brake cleaner. Wipe it down. Get some anti-seize and just put it on the face of the hub. Just helps any corrosion build up. Also, if you need to take it off next time, it comes off very easily. Just a light film will do, like so. We got, now it's time to reinstall the new rotor, but the way you want to do this is, it's not just like a normal geomat finish, it's not just like a normal rotor that's OEM that you can just spray down, soak down, and then throw it on. You do have to clean it properly, but not excessively, because that's what Bendix says, and you would think they want their parts to last longer than anyone. So this is what you do. All of this is covered in oil, yeah? So what you do is, you take a clean rag, soak it in some brake cleaner, and really emphasizing the word clean rag here, and try to avoid this black painted area. You just want to go all around the edge of it, like so, and you can see all the oil and stuff that's coming off it. Same thing here. Soak it like this and wipe it down. Like so. The amount of times I go to jobs and people are like, I just changed my brakes, but for some reason not performing right, and they didn't clean the rotors and they've ruined their pads, and well, they probably need a whole bunch of new stuff, but we are avoiding that. So now everything is prepared, we can throw this back on. Obviously try not to touch the surface that we've cleaned up. From there, chuck a wheel nut on. This just makes it easier to reinstall everything. Now, because we've cleaned everything, we can just throw everything back together. Now from there, we've got the brake pads. You need to install these little anti-rattle springs, whatever you want to call them, onto them. So they're on now. Here's your brake pad wear indicator. I tend to put this on the inside facing down, just because that's how I pull them off most of the time. Obviously avoid touching the friction material, but get a bit of grease, chuck a touch on the back. Now when I say a touch, I mean like a light film. This just prevents the actual, and if you want, put some on the ears here, this just prevents the pistons embedding into the back of these brake pads and not letting go, thus giving you an uneven brake pad wear, this kind of stuff. What's good about these DBAs, they give you a metal backing plate versus like a standard one has like this fabric style one, but Anyway, so then just reinstall, and they can be a bit tricky to get in because of these pins, but when you put them in, make sure they move freely. So this one's in. Now you can see it's moving freely. You got to be careful when doing this test with these pads though, because with these springs they just want to fly out, but they do move freely. It's in. The reason the gloves are off is because I don't want to get any contaminants on the friction material. Anyway, so as you can see, everything's moving. Now throw this back on, and then from there you can reinstall this bracket. Pretty much done. Now there will be some air in the brake line, so I'm just going to gravity bleed it for a minute in terms of chuck a bottle on the end of it, essentially something like that. And then once the fluid starts pouring out, tighten it up and you're good to go. At the back of the vehicle now, so this setup has an electric handbrake on the back, so it's got the motor. I'll show you how to deal with that, but we have to remove this brake line first. See the line there and here, because this shock is in the way a bit, but there's this 10mm. Loosen that off, disconnect these other lines in terms of from their little clips, and then you should be good to go. When you do this, you want to do this quick. I've just disconnected those little clips. It'll be a 10mm bolt that's holding it on. Loosen off the actual brake line from the actual bracket, then rip the 10mm bolt out, pull that out, chuck it all back together, and you should be good. Alright, so it's on, and that's why we do the brake line first, so we don't contaminate everything. So it's all in. Put those clips back in the bracket. If it's going to leak, you'll see it really quickly. So there's two bolts holding this motor on. I have put the handbrake down and the car is not running, it's off, all this kind of stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the motor from the back of the brake caliper and wind the actual brake caliper in manually, thus allowing us to push the piston back in. So once you've done that, you can wriggle the motor off the back. From there, you should have very good access. Wind it back in. Make sure to put a few threads in first before you tighten it down. From there, compress the piston back in. Remember, when you remove these pads, they have this little clip set up, so they run over the actual caliper mounting bracket, as you can see. So don't forget to do that with your ones. As you can see, the pads aren't too bad either. Now, if you remember the other side or the front, the brake caliper mounting bracket is held on with some red Loctite, so it's pretty tight. If you can get a ratchet on, this is my sacrificial ratchet, so don't freak out. I'm gonna have to use a breaker bar on this one. Yes, I'm using the ratchet still. It's off, clean, and re-grease everything. So now that's clean, take these out. New rotors going on. Remember to clean the face of this before installation. Remember these tabs, you got to line them up properly, so you get it in like so. Just remember to over the edge like so. So these will be like anti-rattle springs. They'll also pull them off the rotor when you're not using the brakes. Chuck this back on. Over here, and we got the wheel off. We're going to start from the rear left anyway, so I'll get the pressure bleeder hooked up and start bleeding it. Yes. Alright, so this is the brake bleeder setup. If there's any leaks, you'll find it. Go have a look with a torch, but we're going to be bleeding everything now. So we're in the car, bit of technical difficulties, but we are back. Everything's working good. Doing a bit of a brake test now, so I'll do 1 in 3, 2, 1. These things are just as in this type of car, they have this like linear progression with the braking, and it works fucking awesome, man. I'm telling you. But now the idea is we're trying to get them nice and hot, bed them in. We don't really want to come to a complete stop, like, so just kind of, there we go, we're green. That's exactly what I wanted. Because at the end of the day, the customer will be using this for a certain purpose, so it needs to be fit for purpose. So again, dot full fluid, awesome pads, awesome rotors. Just going to slow down now. 3, 2, 1. This thing pulls up correctly, and the pedal feel is right. Cut a long story, what happened before is, this is why it's taken a little bit longer, is my pressure bleeder, the seal on top stuffed up a little bit, so I couldn't bleed it properly, so I had to fix the seal and then do it a couple ways, but we're all good now. And the customer's with me, as you guys know. As long as he's happy, I'm happy. But we'll do a couple more brake tests and then get him to drive. But everything's feeling good, everything's feeling great. I'll get the customer to go for a drive. I'm going to do a little slow crawl, Macca's run thing, where I go at a different speed, because the brakes will behave differently at different speeds and heats and all this kind of stuff, so, or temperatures, so keep that in mind. Alright, you can't really see me, but we're in the, actually I can fix that without blinding the customer too much. Alright, so customer's in the car, going for a spin, making sure he's happy.
Oh yeah, nice.
You heard that, nice. I don't have the mic in because I left it because we were running around like headless chooks, so that's kind of the way it goes. But he wasn't really experiencing any issues, as you can imagine. You saw the quality of the parts we pulled out. There was nothing really wrong with them. Surprisingly, they'd done a shitload of Ks, so it's one of those situations where, you know, experience when driving definitely does play a part in the longevity of your brakes, so keep that in mind. But again, this is kind of fit for purpose. Towing a big caravan, doing a big trips. He's going to keep this thing, he's decking it out, he wants to throw some cash at it, so why not? Plus, it's, at the end of the day, the way he's done it, he supplied the parts, he paid me to throw it in. The dude's getting the bargain however you look at it, so that's good. Everybody's happy. What do you reckon so far?
Excellent.
How's it feel?
Excellent.
Excellent.
Better. I'd say at least 30% better than the standard brakes we pulled out.
Body ripper. So, alright, that's the video done, so I'm going to end it here. Last thoughts from the customer.
Excellent. Great service.
But you already knew that. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Like, share, subscribe, check out the other stuff. If you want to get in contact with me, hit up this Facebook page here. Buy something from the store, jump down below. Other than that, again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.